So we have had a problem here. The problem is we had a main event fall apart at ONE FC when Sage Northcutt was supposed to take on Shinya Aoki. Josh, Sage pulled out. He's got his side of why. ONE FC's got their side of the story. What side are you gonna go with?
I'm gonna go with Sage.
Really?
Absolutely. There's
okay,
no
you
doubt.
Go with Sage. I'm gonna go with one.
Are you really?
I am.
Well, I would love to hear why.
I will explain why.
Please do.
Okay, but you explain your side first.
No. Ladies first.
No. That's exactly why you're going first.
You're going first.
You got the little fucking head net thing on. Look at you with your little beanie.
Head net. Is that what we're doing these days?
Well, girls wear those at night. Go ahead.
Man. Okay, so what has been your experience working for ONE? Have you ever worked for them?
No, I've never worked for ONE.
That's all I'm asking. So you have no experience working.
So now, because you've worked for ONE, you're now going to say that they're a horrible organization.
I'm not going to say any such thing.
Okay. All right, then.
I'm not going to say any such thing. I'm going to say that I'm going to say this. You have no experience working for them.
Zero.
You've never ref for them. You've never done stuff behind the cake.
Never worked for them.
Okay. My experience with them, and outside of like loving working with Matt Hume and with Rich Franklin and some of the staff that they had when I worked with them, absolutely amazing staff. They're hard workers. Everyone there that I worked with was absolutely amazing.
Okay. Boy,
let me get a drink.
See, your throat's getting dry because you're trying to come up with something. Here. Go ahead.
No, John. It's just
go ahead.
For years, I got to be honest. They're not a horrible organization. They've just been poorly run. And what I mean by that is that I have no idea why they sign these fighters to contracts and lock them in and then don't fight them, but put them on monthly salaries. Which, look, I think is absolutely amazing if you still continue to fight them. Some fighters will wait a year to get a fight. They're wanting to fight. They want to get busy. And they just will not get fights because the shows that they were doing before, when I was working for them, they would do shows in Kuala Lumpur. They would do shows in Jakarta. They would do shows in Manila. They would do shows in, all over Asia. I was part of their first show they did in Beijing, the first show they ever did in mainland China. I was part of that show. I worked did the commentary on that. They are trying to do things that no one else has done in that Asia market. I can respect that. I love it. The problem that I see is that they're spending so much money on getting the top level fighters because fighters don't want to go there to go fight in Asia where no one sees them and the time change and the TV and the network and all that. Fighters want to be seen. They want everyone to see them do what they've trained their whole lives to do.
Okay.
And that being said, I have no idea why they would do what they did to Sage Northcutt, but I do know that there has been problems before in the past with fighters having their corners approved, whether it was plane tickets, whether it was visas, whether it was them getting to the venue on time, whatever it was, they had problems before. And so, and I remember in these flashes, like, oh, what do you mean my fighter? What do you mean we didn't pick him up at the airport? What do you mean he missed his flight? What do you mean you never sent him his flight itinerary? Those are all things that I can recall off the top of my head, having talked to people that worked for ONE at the time. Yeah, his dumbass corners thought he had the fight or the flight was at this time. Now we know that can sometimes happen, but there's been moments though where the fighter's like, no. Here's the flight itinerary they showed me, and this is what I sent to my corner, and that flight he was not on. They wouldn't even have a flight booked for him. And so I've heard these things before from other fighters. Fighters also that have left that were getting paid a ton of money, but have found ways to get out of their contract. And fighters that were locked in to contracts and couldn't get fights. So all of those things being
anything about those, I understand all of those things.
Okay.
Are things that I've heard. Sure, they're true.
Okay. So in this scenario, in this situation, I'm going to take Sage at his word because of all the experience that I've had from other fighters telling me they've had problems with corners. They've had problems with food, like in terms of getting food from their house or from their venue to their hotel, like all these things that one has said they're going to take care of. There's just been problems, and the promotion itself has nothing to do with the actual staff that does all the things. It's there just seem to be there's a disconnect from the higher level executives to the lower level executives on what needs to get done. And it's something happens, something's wrong, whether it's the booking of the flights, the travel agent, whatever it is. But I take Sage at his word on this is that, hey, and because you cannot, it's no different than like, can I be in the corner in Las Vegas if I'm not licensed?
No.
And from what Sage is saying, that he needs to, whoever his corners were need to be licensed. Otherwise they can be arrested. And now Singapore is not a country I want to go fucking around in, breaking any damn laws.
No, I'm not saying that either. All right, let's do this. Do you want to read Sage's I don't know, Instagram thing or whatever it was?
Go ahead.
Okay, so it says one championship is implying that I pulled out of the Shinya fight for unforeseen circumstances. That is completely inaccurate. I sent one championship the necessary paperwork they required to get my coach's visas 48 days ahead of the event, which is absolutely plenty of time. It should be to get a visa. Mm-hmm. But I was told by them over the phone and by text, my main jiu-jitsu coach, Fabio Prado, did not need a visa since I paid for his airfare, flights, and trips. Okay, so here's your first problem right here. Josh, if someone's going to come over, do they need a visa? There's only one way they don't. What is it?
If they're just they're
a coach.
I'm lost on what you're saying. Go ahead.
The only way you can say that they don't need a work visa is to say, "Oh, they're a tourist," so you're lying.
Yeah.
Okay, so why are you lying? Sure, if he's your coach, don't sit there and say he's a tourist. He's working your corner, right?
Yeah.
He should get a visa, and you should know that. You have been to Asia to fight for one before. Have you not?
This is true.
Okay, so don't sit there and look at it and say, "Oh, I'll cut corners." Say, "Excuse me, no. He needs a visa. That's my coach. He's working my corner. Don't sit there and try to put him on a tourist. He's not a tourist. He's my coach." You have got to take control of your career. You're the one in control. Your people are the one in control. Don't let someone from one tell you, "Oh, you don't have to have that. They can go on a tourist." No, they can't. You should know that by now. If you've been in this game, how many times have I had to get visas to go work places?
I'm telling you now, fighters don't know this shit.
He should.
But no. So can I stop you real quick? Real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
As a fighter, you rely on the promotion to tell you what you need and what you don't need for this event. I'm just being honest with you. Like you rely on the company that's paying you to fight. Okay. They're the ones that want you to fight for their promotion, and you want to fight for their promotion. They should be responsible enough to give you the right information. He needs to be, or he can't corner you. That's their job to tell you that. Now I'm saying he also should have maybe looked it up, but I know by dealing with fighters my whole life and being one myself, they're going to cut every corner they possibly can. And managers will also do the same shit and say, "Well, I talked to them and they say you don't need it." That managers will also do that. So will coaches.
All right. So my coaches were there for almost a week, and I was not informed that two of them could not coach until hours before my match. He did have two coaches that were there to coach. He had two other coaches that they were saying could not. Okay. One of those being Fabio Prado, who is his jiu-jitsu coach. Right? Okay. So in it, he says an unknown number that texted me for the first time that day, and that was the ticket salesman asking me about getting my two coaches complimentary tickets to watch the fight in the audience. I personally believe that One Championship was not going to inform me that my coaches were not allowed to corner me until I arrived at the arena to fight. if I did not hear from a ticket salesman hours earlier. Okay. We were also told hours before my match that if my coaches violated, which now is when you're in that position, the visa requirements and were caught on camera, they could be arrested. And there was a 99.8% conviction rate on all arrests. I made it clear to One Championship that I was not flying from America to Japan if I didn't have my 3 coaches. I was told before I left to Japan by an executive that I would have to fight. I would not have to fight without my coaches. They knew before I left that I would not be able to have 2 of my coaches. They never told me my coaches could be thrown in prison for any visa violation. There has been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with One Championship, and that caused me to withdraw from my last fight, as well as other things that I will talk about at a later time on Facebook and all this other stuff. Drug testing, weight cutting policies, active athletes in the rosters, and all that stuff. Okay. I'm not saying that Sage was treated the way he should have been treated. I'm not saying that he should know everything like you're saying, even though he should. You should know. Don't go to another country and not get the visa. You're being a fool and you're putting yourself in a bad position. I've seen fighters say, I'm a tourist when they're fighting. Dumb. Don't do that. But you're right. They will do that. They'll try to get rid of it, away with anything because it's like, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. You're going to a foreign country. But the one thing I'm going to sit here and say for Sage Northcutt, and I love Sage. I've done things with Sage. He is one of the nicest human beings you will ever meet. He is so polite to everyone. He is just a good person. And at this point, what is he, 25 years of age?
No, he's got to be older than that now.
I don't think so, dude. He's not much. Really? Jeez. I want to say he's 25, I think he's 26.
Probably closer to 30.
God, no. How old is Sage now?
27.
Come on.
27.
27.
He's in the middle. I was close. I round up closer to 30. You know me. I round up for everything.
All right. So he's 27 years of age. And he was going to fight Shinya Aoki, who is how old?
41.
40?
40 something.
41? Yeah. Somewhere in there. What better chance when you look at it? Sage Northcutt is an athlete. Okay. Shinya is old and slow now. It's not a grappling match. It's an MMA match. Okay. Are the coaches getting into the cage with you?
No,
they're not. I'm not saying you don't want them there. I understand that. But this is by pulling out, you're not going to get paid. Okay. And they're going to freeze you. They're going to freeze you. How long is he going to sit now? Because he's in a contract. How long is he going to sit, Josh?
I'm not sure. Well, here's the thing, though, John. Like, most of the fighters that come from the States to there that have somewhat of a name, he is someone that has somewhat of a name. They have him on a monthly salary. I think it's like close to like 10 grand a month. So let's say he's making 10 grand a month. Now, are you going to freeze his 10 grand a month because he didn't fight? And if you do, then that's a breach of contract. Now, him not having his corners, is that also a breach of contract for them? I don't want to get into the extent of like, hey, how much can we go back and forth on this? Just you can tell though from what he wrote. Can you pull back up his Instagram message? You can tell from what he wrote: the drug testing, the weight cutting policies, the active athletes roster, the one's stability, which is a huge in question.
Sure.
What it sounds like is that he kind of knew what he was doing by like, hey, something didn't go perfectly as planned, then he wanted any way to get out of it. That's one.
If he wants to get out of it, I totally understand.
Yeah.
How long ago did he sign with One? I want you to think about this.
It's been about 2 years.
Oh, it's been longer than that.
Yeah. I mean, however, when DJ went, when did DJ go?
Exactly. It's when DJ went, but pull up his fight with Cosmo. Because he signed about 6 months before that. So there's Cosmo Alexandre, and that fight was back in 2019. So he signed basically, we'll say January, February of 2019. It's 2024. How many fights did you see on there?
Just one. Well,
two fights.
Yeah.
He had the one that was in Colorado, right? This is not for a 27-year-old.
No.
This is what you want with your career? man, tell me that he now isn't looking going, I made a mistake.
Well, no, I think they all are. That's what I think. I think unless your name is DJ, I think they all are. A lot of them have been. Look, Bibiano couldn't have been more vocal after he retired about how happy he was to be out of one. Just cut ties with them and completely done with them. He had nothing but problems with them the whole time. I know other fighters, as some of them as recent as, a couple months ago, that are happy to be done with them. I don't want to throw people under the bus. I'm not going to bring up their names, but they were ready. They were glad they were able to leave, and they were going to raise a stink if they weren't able to leave. And most of them get stuck in this. They're stuck because they want to fight. They want to be more active, but then you got to wait for the next card, and the next card only has 6 fights, and then they're mixing it in with MMA, and they're mixing it in with kickboxing, Muay Thai and boxing, and it's all these things, grappling. And now these guys are going, okay, well, when you pull up, I'm fighting for one, and you pull up the MMA card, there's 2 fights. There's me and one other. Wait, there's a whole card around 2. They just don't hit the media the way that they should, which makes it even more difficult for people to follow. And so I can see where he's coming from. I get it. But in terms of him pulling out of the fight, the one coach that he needed wasn't going to be allowed to corner. You're fighting Shinya Aoki, and your grappling coach isn't going to be able to be in the corner. I understand that portion. Had it been his cardio coach or his
understand
dad,
that. I understand that. But I'm taking a look and saying
he could have fought.
At this point in your career, this is one you go, all right, and it's all right, motherfuckers, but you're screwing me over, but I'm going to fight, and I'm going to prove to you something, and I'm going to beat your guy, and I'm going to beat him to death just to tell you how pissed off I am. This is your best chance of taking that person, the person with a name, as I say, taking their pelt, skinning them and putting it up on your ring and saying, bye. Yeah.
The overall picture of all this, though, is that one championship's got some problems, and they're going to have to get it sorted out if they're going to, and look, I enjoy that we had Bellator, we had one, we had Ryzen, we've got all these, got PFL. Now it's starting to get dwindled down. It's getting smaller and smaller right now. And so I don't know how much longer one's going to be. I mean, there's a lot of money that they've lost over the years. I mean, I think they're about $500 million in the hole, and Chaudhry says no, but I believe it's close to that.
You've seen all of the financial records that have been out there.
But John, when you start having your
got
fighters,
his name signed on it.
Yeah, but when you have fighters at the level of like Eddie Alvarez, of Bibiano Fernandez, if you have guys at that level being upset afterwards and leaving him, just cutting ties with them completely, you know that something is not right. You know something's not right. And so how do they answer that? How are they going to hit the media tour? And how are they going to answer all these fighters having problems in their promotion? And some of them saying, I wish I would have never signed with them. Some of them saying, man, I can't. I'm so happy that I'm out of that organization. That's a shitty look.
That's too bad.